Welcome back. As we studied last time, Joshua was the one who led the children of Israel into the promised land. And Israel was faithful to God as long as Joshua lived. But with his death, everything changed. Notice what we read in Judges chapter 2, verses 8 to 11. Then Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110, and they buried him in the territory of his inheritance, in Timnath-Heres, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. All that generation also were gathered to their fathers, and there arose another generation after them who did not know the Lord, nor yet the work which he had done for Israel. Then the sons of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served the Baals. The book of Judges gives us the history of the people of Israel at this wicked time when they were constantly swerving away from serving God and went to the foreign gods. And God rose up foreign armies that put them in slavery. Then he would raise up judges to free them. And they would listen for a while, and then the cycle would return, and they would be wicked and disobedient to God. This is a heavy book to read. But in the middle of this time, we get a wonderful story, and this is where our hero of the faith this week comes from. It comes from the book of Ruth, and in fact, Ruth is our hero or heroine of the faith. Now, the story of the book of Ruth starts with an Israelite family who was suffering. Israel was going through a terrible time of famine then. And this family left Israel and went to the land of Moab, and they're settled there. And the father and mother and two sons were there. The two sons got wives from the Moabites, and then the father died, and then the two sons, leaving the widow and her daughters-in-law. Naomi was the Jewish lady, and she decided it was time to go back to the home of her fathers. And she told her daughters-in-law, stay in Moab and get husbands for yourselves in this land. And this is where we pick up Ruth. In Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 to 18. But Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or turn back from following you, for where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus may the Lord do to me, and worse, if anything but death parts you and me. And when she saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. And so they went back to Israel, and they went to the town of Naomi's birth, Bethlehem. Now these were two destitute women. They had no money. And so Ruth went out to glean the fields. It was during the barley harvest time. Now, gleaning is when you pick up the grains that are left behind by the harvesters. And under the law of God, that poor people were able to go into the fields and pick up the fallen grains. And here we see the providence of God, because Ruth went to a field that was owned by a man called Boaz, a close relative. And as she was gleaning there, the nature of this man came out. We notice as we pick up the story in Ruth chapter 2 and verse 8. Then Boaz said to Ruth, listen carefully, my daughter, and do not glean another field. Furthermore, do not go on from this one, but stay here with my maids. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Indeed, I have commanded the servants not to touch you. When you are thirsty, go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw. Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your sight, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? Boaz replied to her, All that you have done for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband has been fully reported to me. And now let your father and mother and the land of your birth, how you left your father and mother and the land of your birth, and came to a people that you had not previously known. May the Lord reward your work, and your wages be full from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to seek refuge. Then she said, I have found favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me, and indeed have spoken kindly with your maidservant, though I am not like one of your maidservants. Well, the story goes on, and in the end, this man Boaz takes Ruth to be his wife, and they have a son, and that son is called Obed. And Obed was the grandfather of the great King David. Now, because of the faith of this woman Ruth, the fact that she was willing to leave Moab and those foreign gods and come with her mother-in-law Naomi and live in Israel and accept and obey the one God, the God of Israel, she was blessed. So much so that this woman, Ruth, became one in the line of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Notice what Matthew writes in Matthew chapter 1, verses 5 and 6. And here we have the genealogy of Jesus. Notice this section. Salmon was the father of Boaz by Rahab. Boaz was the father of Obed by Ruth, and Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David the king. Boaz was the father of Obed by Ruth. This is our woman of the faith, our heroine of the faith. Because of her loyalty, her love, and her faithfulness, she goes down in the annals of history as one of those great women of the Bible. Thank you once again for your time, and come back next week. Thank you.